Plugged in and turned on in paradise. It's all about hidden musical gems. Singers, songwriters, and players you might not know, but are among the best musicians in the world, standing on stage right next to your favorite superstars. In each episode, our host, Haley Loren, introduces you to these new faces and their own freshly minted music. Recorded in the Northern California foothill town of Paradise, historically known for lumber mills and gold mining, it's now rich with music, attracting some of the best musicians in the world. Plugged in and turned on in paradise is a celebration of these undiscovered artists who are sure to become some of your new favorites. Now here's Haley with another musical episode of Plugged in and turned on in paradise.
Drei Deutscher Amigos is the trio of Paradise's own Big Mo Huffman, Volker Striffler, and Martin Gerschwitz.
This may be the highway to hell. We should write a song about this.
Yeah, really. Highway to hell might be good. I smell a hit.
Martin on keyboards is a surviving member of the Animals and Iron Butterfly and brings his classical training into his own ethereal composition.
It's something I did with Inegada da Vida, with the biggest song of Iron Butterfly. I have to say I didn't invent it, but I utilized something Johann Sebastian Bach wrote, which is the Toccata and Fugue in D minor. And this coincides with one of the first songs I ever learned. I was like 6, 7 years old, and my dad taught me, and I was standing on the pedals because otherwise I couldn't reach the manuals, you know.
Oh yeah!
I grew up classically, with my whole family being classical musicians, basically. Mom and dad to begin with. My grandmother was an opera singer, so it's kind of in the genes. And I had 5 siblings, and all of us had to play a classical instrument. It was mandatory. Somehow I'm coming back to my classical roots again too, and I feel really good about this because I finally, number one, I finally can become or be myself, and I can honor my parents' upbringing or my parents' teaching me, because I'm playing the classical stuff as well, or semi-classical stuff. And ultimately, as I said before, it all comes down to I play music. One of the most asked questions from the audience is, how did you change from being a strictly classical musician, being a rock musician all of a sudden, and then apparently going back to what you're doing right now, which is probably semi-classical again. Of course, there's lots of different styles of music out there, and I've pretty much played all of them. But what it comes down to me, it all ultimately ends up in life is music and music in general. So I stay away from any category. As far as I'm concerned, I'm trying to stay Martin till the end of my life and stay true to my passion and to what I do, and that's playing piano and singing. And as long as I have an audience, I keep doing it.
Sometimes of the nearer seems the clearer. All the way past come and gone. When yesterday gets tangled with tomorrow, each hour remains the same as it seems. It's there that sometimes isn't always, and never stays the same. of the poorer seem the richer. All the way past for and soul. It's then that sometimes it's always and never stays. Sing.
People ask me all the time, what keeps the passion going? Well, I love what I do, and I do what I love. And that's the motto of my life and the motto of my book as well. And to me, it's like I write music and I play music from my heart, and I want my music to reach your heart. Once I accomplish that, I'm a happy camper. I had several inspirations in my life, and they pretty much all happened to be keyboard players. When I was of age, like 16, when I got to know Keith Emerson, he was my all-time hero. Unfortunately, he passed away earlier on this year. Rick Wakeman from Yes, Rick van der Linden from a Dutch group called Exception. But anyway, all these guys, they were all classically trained people, so I was pretty much in the same boat as them. And I fully understood what they were trying to do, and I thought literally it was the era of big keyboards, you know, maybe like late 60s when progressive rock came up, you know, and I was totally into this. And sometimes they totally changed the song into a semi-classical event, and it's like, yeah, this is great, I love this, you know. I know I've done rock, I've done heavy metal, pretty much unheard of for a keyboard player to play heavy metal. I've backed up a German singer back in the 70s when I was still living in Europe. I backed up Meatloaf, which is rock opera. I played with Iron Butterfly, which is psychedelic rock. I played with Eric Byrne and the Animals, which is 60s rock, total different kind of rock again. And now I'm Martin Gerschwitz and I do my own stuff, which is probably a combination and a mixture of all of the above. So we were playing in Switzerland, and we played in the Garda da Vida, and obviously at one point there's a drum solo and everybody leaves the stage, and for some reason the dressing room was so far away from the stage that we couldn't even hear anything. I asked Lee, hey, you want a shot of Jägermeister? And he said, sure. Before we knew it, we were in the middle of a conversation and having fun and had another shot of Jägermeister, and then all of a sudden we looked at each other and said, shoot! We're in the middle of the drum solo, we have to go back on stage. So immediately we dropped all the drinks and went back to the stage and showed up on stage, and the drummer gave us a look of death because he was just playing an 18-minute drum solo, was sweating all over. The club manager stood there with a stopwatch, you know, only in Switzerland, and he said, 34 minutes, that has to be the world record.
As I obtain, as I watch and remain. Sometimes your silence gets louder. Sometimes your silence sounds insane.
So I predominantly sing and play piano, all kinds of styles, but I incorporate my violin as well, since I learned it as a kid, and I thought it shouldn't be just laid aside, you know. When we were 9 years old, we had to learn a string instrument, violin or viola or cello in my older brother's case. And the violin started actually being incorporated back in my show when I was with Eric Burdon and the Animals, and we were playing the Animals song when I was young. And for some reason, Eric Burdon mentioned at one point, well, in one of my old incarnations of my band, the guitar player played violin on this song. And I said, Eric, I got a violin in my house and I used to play. Let me try this. And so I brought the violin into Eric Burdon and the Animals, and it stayed in my show ever since.
Wow, that was amazing. I see your face in every flower.